Hello, welcome to week 4. You guys did some incredible work for project 3. A few of the current inspiration sources that you mentioned include
being on the lake or out in nature, and also appreciating city architecture, a great set of contrasts, looking at the ways in which people have redesigned or re-engineered everyday objects, and of course, digital spaces like Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook.
a couple of the future or desired inspiration sources you want to seek out and explore and try in the future included
participating in Doctors Without Borders. One person specifically mentioned visiting Umbrella Street in Portugal. Another person talked about going on a trend pilgrimage to Supreme in New York City. I was also really impressed with the creative design and layout work that some of you did, like these examples.
I'm really excited because in the next day or so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to compile together all of our lists and post them on D2L. So everyone is going to have access to a huge list of incredible inspiration sources that we built together. Most of our readings and materials for this week have to do with creativity and collaboration, or what happens when we put our heads together to create and to innovate, which is appropriate because it's what you're going to do for Project 4. So you're going to read a piece about the value of creativity. You'll read a case study of creativity at Pixar Studios, which we've already talked about in class. Then you're going to read 2 pieces, one by an author arguing about how important collaboration is, and the other by an author arguing that collaboration can sometimes crush creativity. One of the creativity cases is that of Banksy, one of the most well-known and influential artists of our time. And then finally, a set of creativity sparks. They aren't necessarily tied to collaboration, but I hope you'll find them interesting. I focused this set of sparks on contrast. So what you're going to find is a set of links to minimalist movie posters where designers have taken the entire concept or idea for a movie and distilled it to like one image and maybe 1 or 2 words. Then you're going to look at a set of maximalist posters, or posters that are just bursting with ideas and images and more. And much of the readings and material for this week are going to get you warmed up for Project 4. Before we talk about Project 4, though, I want to talk a bit about collaboration and creativity. In Western culture, when we think about artists, we might bring to mind images like this or this. When we think about writers as creatives, we might bring to mind images like this or this. And generally, we have a very historic and romantic notion of art, authorship, and creativity. We have a lone man. He's sitting at a desk, maybe a candle burning, perhaps a glass of bourbon at his elbow. He's toiling alone at his craft. He's a creative genius, and his creativity is an individual, isolated act. But I don't think that these notions really correctly capture creativity as we enact it today in our personal or professional lives. Technologies, changes in approaches to education, changing professional contexts, and more have transformed how we're creative. Okay, this is a pretty silly example, but thousands of people a day collaboratively caption and comment on pictures of cats on the web. In fact, hundreds of people used a collaborative writing space, a wiki, and rewrote the entire King James version of the Bible in lolcat. And Genesis begins, "Oh, hi. In the beginning, Ceiling Cat made a disguise into earths, but he did not eat them." These people use the same platform that Wikipedia is based on, a wiki. As you likely know, Wikipedia is a completely open source, open author encyclopedia. As of last week, there were more than 4.5 million English language articles in Wikipedia, and there were more than 1.1 million articles written in Vietnamese. Fan fiction is another creative mode in today's world. If we go to fanfiction.net, for instance, we can see that people have taken the plot lines, characters, and ideas from the novel Pride and Prejudice and recreated them to write more than 3,000 new stories and novellas. Harry Potter is, not surprisingly, the most popular category, where more than 682,000 people have shared remixes, collaborative rewrites, and stories based on the original Harry Potter books. This should really make us rethink those images and ideas about creativity as an isolated individual act. Especially in digital spaces, creativity is a shared, collaborative activity. If we think about how creativity happens in workspaces, I think images like these are much more representative of how creativity and collaboration happen. And both creativity and collaboration are crucial professional assets in today's economies. I went to the websites just this last week of three companies that regularly seek out and hire MSU grads. First, I went to the career area of Ford's website. Ford headquarters here in Michigan is an open post for product development engineers. In the job post, they mention collaboration and creativity, and they say the distance between imagination and creation. It can be measured in years of innovation or moments of brilliance. If you join Ford, you become part of a team already leading the way with ingenious solutions and attainable products. I also looked at Dow Chemical, which has an open job post for a supply chain leader at their Frankfurt, Germany offices. The job tasks call for someone who has a strong background, academic and professional, in supply chain management, but the job requirements ask for candidates who have key collaboration and teamwork skills, including experience working in teams, demonstrated skill in building and leading teams, and more. I looked at job posts with Target Corporate in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I randomly chose an open job post for a food science and quality assurance specialist. Again, the job post calls for specific kinds of knowledge and skills in the food sciences, including familiarization with food safety protocols and laws and more. But the job post also stated mandatory requirements as including not only the ability to manage time and manage resources, but the ability to effectively communicate and work within a team environment. Creativity and collaboration matter in the work world. We've already done some reading and looking and thinking about different creative processes, and many of these require collaboration. You guys are building a stronger toolkit in terms of approaches for creativity, and now approaches to collaboration. Disney, for instance, required different types of people to play different roles when he worked on a project. Pixar uses the process of plussing during collaborative projects where everyone shares ideas and adds to each other's ideas. IDEO suggests that when its creative teams start work on a project, they defer judgment, encourage wild ideas, build on each other's ideas, stay focused, and more. You'll be working collaboratively on Project 4, so I hope you'll try out some of these techniques and also engage in some of the best practices in collaboration described in this week's readings. So, for Project 4, you're going to work in a creativity cluster on a particular challenge. Here's the task. You've been appointed to a campus task force to figure out for the newly hired Associate Provost of Creativity and Innovation how to recognize and reward undergraduate students who are creativity and innovation leaders at MSU. So the Associate Provost has brought a group of you together and asked you to work together to come up with a 2 to 3 page proposal in the form of a memo suggesting how she should go about doing so. That is, identifying, recognizing, and rewarding creative and innovative MSU students. I've assigned you all to 4 or 5 person creativity clusters using MSU's Google Apps portal. And you guys must use MSU Google Apps. You can't use your Gmail or your other existing Google IDs for this. It's your call if you want to stay in MSU Google Apps and work collaboratively in MSU Google Docs to build your document for Project 4. I think it's a great place to work creatively on a doc like this, but it's your call. If you want to use another tool or set of tools for collaborating on Project 4, I'm fine with that. On D2L, you're going to find the full prompt for getting started. You're also going to find a list of groups so you can find your group and get into your group's MSU Google Doc to get started. I've also included a sample memo there. It's a specific genre with specific moves, so if you haven't written one before, it'll be helpful to see an example. You'll also find some helpful information, I think, posted to the MSU Google Doc with information and suggestions for working collaboratively on the project. Welcome to week 4. Happy collaborating, happy creating.